very happy to hear Buri Jan's description of Gopal Krishna Maharaj at Montreal, 1968. Because the first time I saw your Guru Maharaj, this was 1971 in New York City, exactly the same thing Maharaj was doing. We were sitting in the temple, and this amazing devotee, at every picture in the temple room, he was offering his full dandavats. Not only was he offering his dandavats, but as he was offering his pranam mantra to Srila Prabhupada, if even one syllable was incorrect, he would stop and start all over again and repeat. So I had never seen anything like that in my whole life. Such devotion. I was very much struck. The first impressions last longest. Then there are 2 points that I wanted to bring up because there's not much time and so much has been discussed of Maharaj's glories. But 2 very special things. One is the book distribution. So in New York City, we would go out to the bus stations all day and night, and especially at night, down in the basement of the biggest bus terminal. Millions, about 2 million people a day would go through there. We would wait till nighttime, and in the basement, thousands of people would be waiting in line, and we would distribute books there. So one night I was there distributing the books, and I see someone dressed in a suit and tie distributing books. And I'm looking at who's that? It was Gopal Krishna. After he would finish his work at night in New York City, he wouldn't go home, he wouldn't go to the temple, he would come to the deepest, darkest, dirtiest place in New York City and distribute books. This was beyond my imagination. This had to be the greatest saint I had ever seen. So then in New York City, there was unspeakable problems. One day I just took my bead bag and ran for my life. Came here to India. And they had sent me to deliver a very important document to Srila Prabhupada from here to Mayapur. So I went to deliver the document. I never spoke a word to anyone about the problems in New York City. When I get into Prabhupada's room, I'm sitting with Srila Prabhupada. In comes Gopal Krishna. And he says, Prabhupada, she can tell you everything that's going on in New York. I want her to write a letter, and I want you to read it. Now, I didn't know that Gopal Krishna had come to India at that time. Gopal Krishna specifically came to meet Prabhupada. He was of such integrity that he made sure that everything in that temple was presented to Srila Prabhupada so it could be corrected. Again, for the 3rd time, I'd never seen anything like that. Now, this was 1974, September. As we heard, after Tamal Krishna Maharaj, then Prabhupada tried to put Kurandar here as GBC, and then he tried to put Jagadish here as GBC. That night, Jagadish disappeared and ran away. No one wanted to be GBC in India. It was too difficult. So Prabhupada assigned Gopal Krishna to be GBC at that time. He was a Grihasta, new in India, although we all knew his character by then. And Prabhupada, this is before his disappearance, he had Gopal Krishna be the GBC of all of India until 1977. And then after 1977, everything got broken up. The followers did not want Gopal Krishna Maharaj to be the GBC of all of India, and they broke it up. And this is the second part. So we hear about book distribution. One more thing about book distribution. Here in Vrindavan, we have these bookshops, and Guru Maharaj, Gopal Krishna Maharaj was always encouraging book distribution here, of course. So his disciples started to print books so-called written by him from his lectures. And I asked Gopal Krishna, I said, should we keep your books in the bookstores now? He said, absolutely not. You only distribute Prabhupada's books here. And we have other devotees coming to me, angry. Why aren't my books in your bookshop? But not Gopal Krishna Maharaj. He only wanted Srila Prabhupada's books distributed here. So then, yeah, well, things have changed a bit. So now we come to the next point that I want to make, and that is the Vrindavan temple management. So after Srila Prabhupada left and Gopal Krishna Maharaj was no longer the full GBC of India, I watched one GBC after the other after the other. Now we've been through 30 temple presidents here. It's such a difficult service. And Gopal Krishna Maharaj, all throughout this time, since the time he became an initiating guru, he was training his children how to manage, how to carry on, how to open temples. So he became a guru in 83? 82. In 1982. So that means 82 to 92, 2002, 2012, over 40 years now. So his children now are quite grown up. Some must be 40 years old by now in spiritual life. So gradually, Gopal Krishna Maharaj training his disciples so nicely. Now, this year, we see his disciples have become so well trained that practically in almost every department now, we have his well-trained disciples now running the Vrindavan temple, which is the international beating heart of ISKCON. It was his many years of training his disciples that now finally, even in his disappearance, I now have full faith because he trained his disciples so well that they'll be able to carry on this mission, specifically in Vrindavan, which is the beacon of all of ISKCON. So I thank you all very much. Please always stay under the shelter of your Guru Maharaj's instructions, and then this ISKCON movement and Srila Prabhupada's pleasure will be guaranteed. Hare Krishna.